So here's a thought. What if your entire life wasn't just, a bunch of random stuff happening? What if it's actually a game with a real purpose? That's exactly what we're diving into today, this incredible framework for looking at our existence as, well, the ultimate game. Let's get into it.
Seriously, just let that question sink in for a moment. What if your life is a game? This one idea, it's the key that unlocks everything else we're going to talk about. Just imagine it, all your ups, your downs, your wins, your losses. It's not just chaos. No, it's this incredibly complex game with players, rules, and a real purpose that's probably not what you're expecting.
All right, so let's dive into our first section here, Life, the Ultimate Game. The basic idea is that reality itself, everything around you, that's the game board. But here's the catch. Not everyone plays the game the same way. And how you choose to play, well, that changes everything.
So, according to these ideas, you've basically got two kinds of players. First, you have the lost player. This person is completely trapped in the game. They're obsessed with trying to control everything to own reality, which, when you think about it, is like trying to own the entire Monopoly board. It's impossible. But then you've got the awake player. This person gets it. They know it's a game, so they play with joy, with purpose, and they're not all hung up on the final score. And this next quote, man, it just perfectly captures that awake player mindset. It says, "Life is a play. It doesn't matter whether it's long or short, win or lose. The focus isn't on winning or losing, right? It's all about the experience of playing." And that last part, wow. When life is good, heaven is not. What that's saying is, a life that you truly live, that you're present for, that is the reward. That's the ultimate prize right there.
Okay, so if it's not about winning, then what's the point, right? What's the real goal of this whole game? Well, that brings us right to our next section, the player's true mission. So, the mission. It's got nothing to do with the things we usually chase, like money or fame. Nope. It's all about the inner work. It's about really truly cherishing the fact that you're alive. It's about evolving your spiritual side and working on becoming the best version of yourself. And the core of it all, making love your biggest project. That's the real big business of your life.
And having this mission, what this text calls a great vow. It's not just a nice idea, it's absolutely essential. Because without that big guiding purpose, we just drift. We float around aimlessly, kind of like duckweed on a pond, with no direction. This vow, this mission, is what gives the whole game meaning.
Okay, so this all leads to a really massive shift in how we see things. If life is a game and we've got a mission, then who's the one writing the story? Who's in charge of the script? And let's just pause on that question for a second. I mean, really think about it for your own life. Who do you feel is writing your script? Is it your boss, your family, society, or just random chance? The answer is so simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. You are. That's it. You're the one writing the script.
And the tool you use to write that script? It's your free will. But here's the paradox, right? The very thing that gives you the power to be the author is also the source of all our human stuff. The hesitation, the worry, the pain. It's this double-edged sword. It's the ultimate gift, but it's also the burden of being in the driver's seat.
So how do we get better at being the author of our own lives? Well, it's laid out here as a pretty clear 3-step process. Step 1, untangle the mess inside your own head. Get clear. Step 2, figure out what you truly, deeply need. No fluff. And step 3, express that need out into the world with so much clarity that the universe literally has no choice but to start cooperating with you. And that idea, the universe cooperating, that's huge. Because think about it. Every game has rules, right? And the game of life is no different. If you want to be a good author of your own story, you've got to understand the rules of the game, these unseen forces that are always at play.
So a core rule of this game, the universe is always fair. Always. Nothing is an accident. And this fairness is built on some really precise laws. You've got cause and effect. What you put out, you get back. Period. You've got the law of attraction, which is why similar energies and people tend to find each other. But the biggest one is this. Your reality, what you see around you, is just a mirror reflecting what's going on inside your own consciousness. So to put it simply, who you are and what you do right now is literally creating your future.
And a really cool way to understand these forces is to break reality down into 3 basic building blocks. First, there's consciousness. That's the what. It's the thought, the creative spark. Then you have structure. That's the how.
It's the blueprint, the program that gives the idea form. And finally, you have energy. That's the why. It's the juice, the force that makes it all happen.
Okay, so if we get that life's a game, we know our mission, we know we're the author, and we understand the rules, what's next? How do we actually master this thing? How do we get to that next level, which you might call God mode, where you have real command over your life?
Well, the path to mastering the game starts inside. And I love this metaphor they use. Your mind is like a garden. The very first step is to get in there and start pulling the weeds. You know what I'm talking about? All those negative thought patterns, jealousy, selfishness, anger, fear, greed, all that stuff. You got to clear it out.
And then, once you've pulled the weeds and cleared the ground, you can start planting the good stuff, the flowers, things like truth and kindness, forgiveness, courage, gratitude. And here's the amazing part. When you take care of this inner garden, it's not just that you feel better inside, you actually fundamentally change the reality you're projecting out into the world.
And that brings us to one final and maybe the most important piece of this puzzle. All we ever really have to work with is one day. Today. Every single day is a brand new game, a blank page in your script, a new chance to tend to your garden. And we should treat it with the kind of focus and gratitude we would if we knew it was our only one.
And so the whole thing really boils down to this one final question. Knowing everything we've talked about, knowing that you are the author, that your mission is all about love and growth, and that your time to play this incredible game isn't infinite. What are you going to do with the time you have left?